starting to get moving. Let's see how we did with camp mode. We're down to 27%, and it is 7:02 a.m. So, what was that, 10 or so hours? And we used quite a bit of energy. So AC is definitely using a lot more than the heat was. All right, so I had camp mode running for 11 hours last night, and it consumed 14%. I had the AC at like 65. It's 75 right now. It's about what it was last night, somewhere around there. So it wasn't too hot or anything, but running the AC definitely consumed more than I had anticipated. For reference, when I was using the heat and it was 34, and I had the heat set to 65, I used, I believe, 5% in 5 hours. So it's interesting that it used more to run the AC. So the heat, although it does use a burst of energy, it must hold that heat pretty well before it keeps kicking on whatever's draining on the battery. The AC's just got to run. So that's probably why. So for now, it's time to get home. So I don't know. I don't think I'll make it home today. It is a long drive. I'll show you in just a minute. But just as a refresh, I had a powered campsite reserved and paid for, and was not granted access. And it was quite the drama. It was intense. The guy was so rude. I got lucky and I found another campsite that had a non-powered site available. So I came here last night and slept, which was great. Got everything all folded back up and ready for the trip home. So let's plug in home and see what it looks like. So to get home, I have 1,341 miles. It's like 22 hours with charging. Now, I do have to stop at Marathon because I used so much energy last night. There's no way I would make it to, there's a charger right at the bottom of Florida that I won't be able to make it to. So I got to stop there for, it says 20 minutes, and that's because it's going to take us all the way up to Plantation, Florida, up in Miami. They're the Plantation Supercharger, which is cool. So 20 minutes there, 25 minutes in Plantation. So I'm going to get things rolling. We'll leave here in probably 15 minutes. Try to get some things taken care of, like some fresh clothes and things like that. So let's get rolling. So we've arrived at our first supercharging stop in the first 25 minutes, so didn't really need a break, but I did grab some breakfast on the way, so that way while we're charging we can get some breakfast in instead of figuring it out down the road. So let's take a look. So we're here at 19%. We need to charge for 20 minutes to make it to Plantation, Florida, and I will show you what that looks like. That's our next stop, all the way up here, right there, kind of Fort Lauderdale area. So 20 minutes here, and then we will head to Plantation, and we'll be there for 25 minutes. So this stretch can be rough because it's only one lane most of the time. However, it is kind of early. It's still 8:20 on a Monday, and traffic is very light. So hoping that that'll play in our favor. Since last time we were here at this supercharger, we drove 104.8 miles, got 226 watt-hour per mile, which is awesome. So we won't be doing that too much on this trip because we will be getting the highway speed soon. So let's get plugged in and get rolling. All right, we're charged to 65%, and we can get there at 11%, which is way more than we need. So I'm gonna go ahead and unplug 65%, $8.84. So we made it to the supercharger. Really nice location. There's quite a bit here. Firehouse subs and kind of a nicer area. Anyways, 16%, 134.8 miles, 33 kilowatt hours, and we did it 241 1 hour per mile. This will probably be the last leg where we get below or near that rated range consumption. So we're gonna get plugged in, but here's the deal. We're actually going to be going directly to this supercharger. So we're gonna be here for about 25 minutes to make it to Fort Drum, which is right here. That'll be our next stop, 150 kilowatt. And then we will be in the Celebration supercharger, which is where we're headed, which is another 150 kilowatt hour supercharger. So let's get plugged in and grab some lunch. All right, we're charged up to 73%. It says we can get there at 7%, 8%. $10.40. Gonna unplug now. Should be in Fort Drum, 133 miles, a little over 2 hours. Be there about 2 o'clock. All right, so we pulled in. This is a service station, and it's actually pretty interesting. So let's talk about that in just a minute. 133 miles, 327 watt hour per mile, pretty decent. 7% at arrival. And we need to be here, I believe, for 20 minutes. Yeah, so it says at least 20 minutes to make it to Celebration. So let's get plugged in and talk about some fun stuff. So I hit the turnpike down in Miami area, and roughly mile marker 88, I hit the first toll booth. And they give you this. And it took me a hot minute, I'm not afraid to admit, to figure out what the hell I'm looking at. And basically it shows you where you pulled in and how much it's going to be based on where you're going. So long story short, this stretch of the trip is going to cost me $16.50 when I get off, which is ridiculous. This comes from a guy who's not used to tolls, so maybe for you guys, you're like, oh, that's a bargain, whatever. Okay, so you have probably heard from some people about free superchargers in Florida on the turnpike. Well, I am sitting at a free one right now, and the reason is because they charge you $16.50 to take the road. So they can't charge you for these superchargers because unlike gas stations, you don't have an option. So by having these here, these are free. Doesn't cost you anything to charge up. So if you don't have any free supercharging or miles or anything like that, I recommend taking advantage and getting as much of a charge here for free as you can. Pretty decent deal for you. Right now I'm sitting at 140 kilowatt charge rate, which is pretty dang good for a standard V3 charger. So yeah, now I understand what this free charging in Florida is all about. So on this Florida turnpike, I don't know if there's other ones, other toll roads that also have the same deal going, but that's what it's all about. So anyways, we're gonna be here for about 20 minutes and we will hit up the next charger. All right, so we're charged up, way overcharged, but that was a huge facility. 65%, $0 because it's free charging here. I'm gonna unplug now. Should arrive 78 miles, a little over an hour, be there about 3:30. Be there at 25%. This place is like a airport terminal. It was huge in there. And a lot of dining options. There's even a little shop in there. Plenty of restrooms, stuff like that. This is a great place to stop if you have to get on the turnpike. So I'm gonna get some ice and refill my front cooler. So let's get that taken care of before we hit the road. It's pretty awesome. It holds a ton of stuff. For a solo trip, it's probably overkill, but this one is from Evanex. And you can get it, I believe, with a $10 discount if you use code BTG. I'll put the link in the bottom, but it's really awesome in the front. And if you have your whole family with you, it's probably nice to have all that space. we're in Celebration, 25%. It was needing a precondition, which is crazy. It's 71 degrees outside. So we're gonna get plugged in and get this thing rolling. 335 watt hour per mile for the trip. 78.7 miles. Let's get plugged in. All right, we are charged up max 80% because it's so busy at this charger. $9.88. So that will get us 20% to Gainesville. And I did this on purpose because there's a place here locally near Celebration. You probably haven't heard of it, I'm sure. So I'm gonna be hanging out here for just a little bit this evening and do that kind of thing for a little bit, and then I will get back on the road later. So I will catch you guys back up in a little bit. It's time to get back on the road. Spent a little bit of time at Disney Springs, you know, for the kids, of course. It wasn't for me. It was definitely for the kids. So we're going to get back on the road. I have quite a trip back home, and I'm not sure how far I'll make it tonight, but let's just take a look at what we have in front of us. So what's interesting is it wants us to go to Ocala, which is not very far, and we're not going to do that. So I'm going to have to do this manually, unfortunately, but that's okay. This is why using a better route planner is such an awesome tool, because you can pre-plan, and then when you get in the car, you can make adjustments according to that plan. So what I want to do, instead of Ocala, I want to go to Gainesville. So that's 100 miles, it looks like. So we can get there with 20% battery left, which is plenty. 114 miles, just shy of 2 hours. I'll be there about 9 o'clock. So we're going to hit the road. 76% battery right now. And efficiency has been pretty good. We will be driving much faster for the rest of this trip because speeds are higher. So let's go ahead and get rolling on this 114 mile leg. 2 hours, about 9 o'clock. Well, we made it. Let's take a look. 22%. We did 310 watt hour per mile, which is really good. We were set on 75 for that stint. 121.8 miles, 38 kilowatt hours consumed. So we're supposed to be here for 40 minutes so that we can make it all the way up to Tifton, Georgia, which is 143.5 miles. There are too many chargers between here and there to be sitting here for 40 minutes. However, on that last leg, I started getting pretty tired. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, get out and stretch my legs and see if I wake up a little bit. By the way, this supercharger location is on point. I am glad that it's late because there's an REI right across the street, or in the parking lot, really. So Whole Foods, there's like shopping everywhere and buku eating options. So fantastic supercharging location overall. Anyways, let's get plugged in and get this thing rolling. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be able to make it all the way up here to Tifton where it wants to go. So I do want to make it to Georgia though, and Valdosta has a V3 supercharger, so that is where I'm going to head next, and that'll be the last stop tonight. I'm going to camp there. I took a look, and there is a hotel and a truck plaza right here. So this will be a good spot. I'll either park in the Regency Inn parking lot or the truck plaza, or just look at the area by the supercharger. So I'm going to set that as my destination. It says 10 more minutes of charging here, and then we can get moving. All right, we're at 66%. We can arrive at 9%, which is more than enough. So $8.32. I'm going to unplug now at 67%. All right, made it to Valdosta, 9%. We're gonna go ahead and get plugged in. It says 40 minutes of charging to get to the next charger. Of course, that's not what we're gonna do, but I am gonna get plugged in and I'm going to charge as much as I can. 104.2 miles, 364 watt-hour per mile, doing mostly 80 miles an hour on that last leg. It's down to 47 degrees, so it's definitely getting chilly. All right, so I've charged enough to skip a charger, assuming we don't use too much tonight. So I have charged to 95%. I'll let it go up one more percent, but we should be able to arrive at the next supercharger at 13% minus whatever we use tonight. So if we use 8 hours of heat, I think we're going to continue to use 1% per hour with heat. So this is only the second time we're using heat. It is a bit warmer than last time though, so hopefully 1% per hour is all we use. So I am actually going to move across the street because this is a nice charger and a nice gas station, but there's a lot of people walking around at night at 11:24. So there are some bigger name hotels right over here that I'm going to go over there. So I'm going to go to the Hilton and park in that parking lot. Then in the morning, assuming we have enough charge, we'll get on the highway and go. We've got 768 miles to go, about 14 hours of driving. So 96%, $8.76. Gonna unplug now and go get parked. And while I was charging, as you can see, I've got the window covers on everything except for these front two windows and the windshield, of course. So when we park, I only have those two side windows and put up the blind over the front, and we're ready to roll. Scoot the seats forward and bring the rest of the mattress down flat, and I can go right to sleep. All right, we're all set up. Camp mode is on, 67 degrees. Might turn it down later if I get too hot. 96% at 11:49. So we will see how much energy we use. For now, good night. And good morning. Another great night of sleep back here. Let's take a look at how much energy we have consumed in the 8 hours that we've slept. All right, it is 7:25 and we're at 89%. So 7% over 8 hours. So less than 1% per hour. I did again turn it down to 65 just to be a little bit cooler, but yeah, that's pretty good. That's with the heat on. It is only 40 degrees, which is warmer than it was the other night when we were using the heat. So there you have it. All right, well, I've got everything pulled down. I'm going to get everything packed correctly at the next supercharging stop to not lose too much time here. So let's take a look. So again, we only lost 7%, which is perfect because we can get to our next stop at 6%. Plenty of juice. So I'm going to grab some breakfast on the way out. But we have 154 miles to go, a little over 2 hours, be there at 10 a.m. And the whole trip, 759 miles to go, about 14 hours. So should be able to make it home close to 10 o'clock if I can stay on schedule. So we'll just have to wait and see. we made it to Macon, Georgia supercharger. It is super busy here, so unfortunately we're gonna have to share, and I feel bad, but there's nothing else I can do about it. So park next to this really nice red Model Y. All right, let's take a look. Made it at 3%. We were doing about 80 miles an hour, so 362 watt-hour per mile, 155 miles. And we made up about 15 minutes or so, and it added 5 minutes to this charging stop. So netted about 10 minutes. Our new arrival time is close to 9:45. We'll see how that goes. Slower charging here because it's so full. So let's get plugged in, and if somebody leaves, we will move and get out of somebody else's way and make it faster for us. Let's go. All right, a charging spot opened up, so I'm gonna move. Go from 49 kilowatt, $3.90, unplug and plug in right next to me. Much better. So when you're at a full station and a car pulls away, try to get into that set of cabinets if you can and save a ton of time. So that just cut our charging time in half from what we had left. So we'll get this thing finished up, and as busy as it is, I'm sure somebody else will show up here soon, and this charging speed will go right back down. All right, well, it's doing some weird stuff. It's barely climbing percent at arrival as our state of charge is going up. So anyways, says 7%. It's 108 miles, an hour and 43 minutes. That is plenty of charge to go that distance. So there must be a traffic issue of some kind. But usually your state of arrival goes up when traffic slows down. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and unplug at 63%. $3.38 on top of what we were charging just over to the right. Get unplugged and get through Atlanta. Here we are, 10%, 331 watt-hour per mile. Not too bad. 80 for most of that, although Atlanta was much slower. 108.4 miles, 36 kilowatt hours. We're supposed to be here for 45 minutes, and it is because our next leg is so long. It wants us to make it all the way to Cookeville, Tennessee, which I've never gone this way. So usually on our way home, we go through Nashville. So we go up to Chattanooga and then straight over to Nashville and then up. Last time we were on this route, it also recommended going this way, so we're actually going to try it this time. I've never in my life gone this route on EV or not, so we're going to give it a try. 45 minutes. It is 12:13 anyways, so it's a great time to get some lunch. So there are some food options around here. There's a Publix, which I ate on the way down. I had from their deli. And then across the street, there's some other options. So anyways, let's get plugged in and give it a nice long charge. It says we're getting ready to wrap up charging here in Ackworth, Georgia. I just wanted to say, I've been to this charger maybe 4 times now, and almost every time there is a homeless person at the entrance of this parking lot. And think what you want, but I've seen people eat food out of dumpsters before, and it makes me really sad. So when I was rolling out to get something to eat, I asked the lady if she was hungry. She said that somebody had already offered and was already on their way to buy her a sandwich. So, you know, especially right now, times are tough, and you don't have to give people money if you have feelings about that, but there's nothing sadder than watching a human being eat food out of a dumpster. So anyways, I was encouraged to see somebody else had already beat me to the punch, which is awesome. Sharing the love, taking care of each other. So let's take a look, because this next stretch is a big one. All right, we are charged up now. 90% says we'll get there at 6%. It is 181 miles. It's over 3 hours. So we're gonna have to watch our speed on this stretch. So we'll just keep an eye on what our arrival percentage is along the way. There is one backup in Chattanooga, and it is on the route. So as we get going, we'll see how we go. 181 miles, 90%, $8.58. Let's get unplugged and hit the road. So we made it 4%, 2:52 p.m. It's 3:52 at home. Again, that silly hour. So we need to be here for 35 minutes. Another long stretch to get to Kentucky from here, to get to Louisville, that is. So as I said earlier, usually when we're in Georgia coming up, when we get to Chattanooga, we usually head into Nashville and then back over and up. So we tried this way this time, and not bad. It's just the problem is you end up in towns like this and stoplights and people that drive a little bit slower, and yeah, so just be prepared for that. I'm gonna get plugged in, and it looks like we're still on track for about 10 p.m. That's Central Time, 9:08 p.m. So it is 10:08 p.m. as I have learned in this car. So about plus or minus 10 minutes of on time, which is not bad considering it's been a full day of driving already. So let's get plugged in. All right, so another deep charge. I was thinking I was going to go to 90%, but I guess it's just slightly less in miles to this next stop in Louisville. So let's see how far it goes. It says we can get there 10%, which is plenty enough. Let's see here, 169 miles. This was 181, so about 12 miles less. That should be fine. 85%. I'm going to go ahead and unplug. It says we'll get there with 11%. So let's see here. $7.40. Should be there about 6:45. All right, great news. We made it. It is 7:35 p.m. We're making fantastic time. 12%. That last stretch was quite a bit of fun. So I have to admit that since I've owned this car, I have not had enough fun with it. From time to time, it's just fun to kind of get into the twisties and push it a little bit and have some fun. So lessons learned, that last stretch. So if you are coming from Chicago or anywhere north, going through Indiana or going through Louisville to go the gateway to the south, going through Nashville or going the direct route that I just took, it is like 50 miles shorter to go the way I went. It is roughly the same time. However, I made up quite a bit of time because the speed limits were a little bit lower, and that's how the time's calculated. Now, it was a lot of fun because I could see where I was going, but it was a good 100 miles off of an interstate. So that's a long way to go, and not be on like a highway or an interstate. So keep that in mind. If it's dark, I would highly recommend not going that way, because those were really tight turns, in hills, lots of trees, lots of blind spots. Anyways, if you're ever on that route, that is my recommendation. I'll probably, moving forward, just stay on the interstate, do the boring thing. But that was quite a bit of fun, actually, because it was very curvy and a good time. So let's take a look. All right, so 737, 11%. We just dropped this percent. The car is preconditioning, which is good. So for fast charging, we're supposed to be here for 35 minutes. I'm going to leave as soon as I can because I want to beat this time. I think when I woke up this morning and punched it in, it said 10:12 when I departed. So We are doing so good on time. I'd like to keep that going. So let's go ahead and get plugged in and get the charge that we need to make the final stretch of this journey. That last leg, 169.4 miles, 48 kilowatt hours consumed, 282 watt hour per mile. Okay, it says 15 more minutes to charge, but this 5% has not moved over the last 5%. So interesting. This is the second time this has happened this trip. I've never seen this before. Anyways, we have 74%, 146 miles, 2.5 hours to go. At 74%, we should have enough to make it. And if not, there's a couple chargers in Indy if I absolutely have to. But we're gonna go ahead and unplug at 74% and $11.04. Let's get this trip finished up. Made it 9%, 10:18 p.m. That last leg was 145.6 miles, 43 kilowatt hours, 294 watt hour per mile. So pretty good for the whole trip. 2,920 miles, 907 kilowatt hours, 311 watt hour per mile, which is really good. So that was such an awesome trip overall, and I'm so glad that I got to do that thanks to my wife. So that was a really, overall, so many things about the trip were good. There were some bad things like the campsite. What a mess that was, but it ended up working out okay. Slept in the car 3 of the 4 nights, and that worked out fantastic. If you have a Tesla Model Y, or you're thinking about a Tesla Model Y, I think I have clearly demonstrated how easy it is to camp in the car. So I do have the window covers from EvanX, and we have a code for a discount if you so desire to get them yourself. But also the mattress. I want to talk about that for a minute because there's a couple of things to consider. So the mattress that we have is without a doubt the most comfortable option that you can get. It is a 6-inch thick tri-fold mattress. Now, it does come with drawbacks because it is so large. Even folded up, it takes a ton of space. So if you have the space, it is 100% worth it. If you don't have the space, it's really not an option. So it's really a balance. And there are some air mattresses available. I've been testing a few lately and trying to narrow in on what the best air mattress option is. So that can save you a lot of space if you don't have it for this big trifold mattress. As always, the car did fantastic. Almost 3,000 miles, and it was a good trip. So another thing, this morning when I set the nav, it said I'd get home, I believe at 10:12. I got home at like 10:20. So it's very accurate and it's very good, and if you keep an eye on it and you are able to be efficient with your stops, you can absolutely achieve the times that it's putting there. So traveling in a Tesla is absolutely going to take you more time than a gas car. There's no question about it, and it's because you're stopping frequently and you're stopping for 15 to 30 minutes roughly. So timing those stops with normal brakes helps. But it absolutely takes longer to travel in an EV. However, those stops are really nice to break up the trip. Plus, autopilot takes a lot less work than driving a car 100% on your own. So, other things to think about. It was also so much fun to bring gifts with me to meet some of you along the way. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I know that there's not a lot of people traveling right now. A lot of superchargers were empty. There were a couple of them that were full. But I did do a live stream on this last leg, so that was fun to give some gifts with some BTG trivia. So I'll be sending those out to the winners from our live stream very soon. But that pretty much wraps it up. This will obviously be the last trip of 2020, and now that there are vaccines starting to roll out, it's going to take some time before the rest of us can get vaccinated, but I am very much so looking forward to an exciting 2021 and what road trips we have in store. So a lot of ideas for now, and I'm looking forward to trying new things out in 2021. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. I hope that videos like this are helpful for you if you're considering a Tesla Model Y. And if you have one, just understanding what it is like to road trip in a Tesla. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bearded Tesla. As we go on these trips, we're constantly posting updates along the way so that you can see how things are going. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.